and welcome to a new episode of From the Honeycomb podcast. I am your host, Katerina. Each week, we dive into a blend of topics that resonate with the soul. Whether you're an architect enthusiast, have a passion for Wanderlust, want to discover holistic approaches to rejuvenate your body and mind, or are intrigued to learn about Vastu Shastra with a modern approach, you've come to the right place. Join me as I sit down with inspiring, like-minded women from various walks of life. We will delve into their journeys to discuss the challenges and moments that define their paths. So sit back, relax, and let the spark of positive energy ignite your curiosity. Today, I am joined by licensed architect and mindful coach Morgan Chawaga. Through advocating for holistic health, Morgan is empowering working mothers to uncover the best version of themselves. Morgan, welcome to From the Honeycomb podcast.
Thank you, Katerina. Thank you so much for having me today.
And as you know, we begin every episode by sharing something that we are grateful for in the present moment. So what are you grateful for?
I'm grateful truly for so many things. And I've listened to many of your podcasts and I was thinking, what am I most grateful for today? Because I could probably go on for a long time about what I'm grateful for. But what I'm most grateful for right now in this present moment is being surrounded by so many strong, influential women, especially in this career. Mm-hmm. Not everybody. I've not always been surrounded by such strong, influential women. And I'm just very excited that now I have a core group of women just like yourself, Katerina, that are creating a platform and being brave enough to talk about sometimes uncomfortable subjects and topics.
No, absolutely. And I think I've also kind of found that I kind of resonate with what you're saying is throughout college, yes, there were other females in university and through classes, and then at work, it was mostly male dominated. That's where I feel like the women dropped off. But now there's just this community that somehow has formed and especially through social media. And it's incredible just how we've been able to connect. And it's so empowering to hear, other women's stories. And then you just feel so less alone.
It's so refreshing and much needed. And I have two little girls. I have a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old.
Oh.
And I hope they grow up seeing me surrounded by these strong females and they become those strong females as well. And, really they grow up to change the world.
Oh, I hope they do. I'm sure they will. With a mom like you, they will.
Oh, thank you. They will in their own way.
Yes. So Morgan, share with us, you are a licensed architect. Share with us your journey. What was, licensure like, your background, what school you went to, and then what's kind of brought you to where you are today?
Yeah, absolutely. How much time do you have? So I am a licensed architect. I went to the University of Kentucky for my undergraduate degree and received my bachelor's degree there. And then I went to the University of Pennsylvania to receive my master's degree. How did I get to where I am now? That's a really great question. I was an Ivy League graduate with my master's degree. I have always been a type A people pleaser. Mm-hmm. And I had to climb the corporate ladder as quickly as possible. I had to be the student that the professor always doted on, and my boss or my colleagues always saw working late at night and putting in the most work. And that was the culture that for the longest time I thrived in. And that quickly led to burnout for me because it was overworking, right? And not feeding into my soul anymore. So when I had my first daughter, who's 3, her name is Lily. And then I have my second daughter, who's 1, her name is Violet. My world began to change and my perspective on life really began to change. So initially before children, and I still am very career driven. And I would even say I am more productive with more purpose now in my life than I was when I was working way over 40 hours a week, nonstop. And really when my life revolved around my career. Now, since my shift of having 2 beautiful girls that I am an example for, and I have 2 girls that are constantly looking up to me and I'm an example for them. And I know that now. I'm now a mindfulness coach. So I did a lot of reflection into myself and who I wanted to be in their eyes and who I am today. And I'm still on this journey. It's a never ending journey, and I'm still growing and developing and changing. And it's beautiful, this journey. So now I teach clients, specifically mothers and also architects as well, on how to be more mindful. So, Katerina, I wonder, do you know what mindfulness is? Like, what is your definition of mindfulness?
Like my definition, I would say, of mindfulness is doing something with good intention, no matter what that may be. The way like you approach what you eat, you approach it mindfully, so with a good intention, whether it's physical activities, the way you treat your body, your thoughts. If you are having like a mind, you have to be mindful. It's doing it with a good intention, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely. And my definition would be an intention, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure it has to be good or bad, and I don't really have to judge
Mm-hmm.
that intention, but doing things mindfully. So what I often get the question of like, why mindfully? What does that do? For me and for many others, it started to change every aspect and every facet of my life, both professionally and personally. So let's talk about personally first. My relationships became better. My relationships with my family and my friends became better. And myself as well. My relationship with my body, because if you're a mom, or if you're listening and you're a mom, you know that your body changes whenever you become a mom, right? It goes through this long process of growing a baby and birthing a baby. So you're a different human being after birth, at least in my experience. So being mindful of that relationship with yourself and also with your family and your friends. And really after I started becoming mindful in my personal life, my world began to change and those relationships began to strengthen, get deeper, and be better. And I became so much happier because, like I said, I was in a state of burnout and constant fatigue. And I finally came to this realization that there's got to be more to life than just working on that hamster wheel 24/7. Where was the old me, the younger me that had this zest for life? And every time I looked in the mirror, it sounds horrible, it sounds sad, but I didn't see that individual that had that zest for life that I once had. So once I started shifting my mindset and becoming mindful with everything that you talked about, how I move my body, how I spend my mornings, my time, the food that I'm taking in, the moments of life, how I begin a meeting. So let's now talk about the professional world. I am a licensed architect. So how do I incorporate this into my practice? I remember specifically going into meetings, my heart was racing. I was probably sweating. I knew that we were going to talk about this multi-million-dollar change order or the schedule that was it was never ending and constantly shifting, and all of these things that architects really have to juggle at any given time, right? And that was impacting me physically and mentally. And I'm juggling those things still today, but juggling them better than ever with more confidence, more clarity, and more ease, I would say. And I think that shows, I would probably say that it's not only me that says that. I would say that it's the people surrounding me as well. It's created a ripple effect on those individuals as well.
Interesting. I want to ask about your ARE journey before jumping into work. How was that? Because you hadn't approached mindfulness, it seems like, until later on. So just want to jump back to your ARE journey because for me, it was an incredibly stressful time. So what was your ARE journey like?
Yeah, it was an incredibly stressful time. I said that I was a people pleaser. I had to get straight A's. I had to be the best of the best, or at least try, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I went straight from my bachelor's degree into my master's degree. As soon as I got my master's, I started working and started taking tests. And I wanted to get them done as quickly as possible. I had a goal, some arbitrary goal, by the time I was 30 that I would be licensed. And of course, I achieved that goal, but I wasn't as healthy achieving that goal.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I went full force on them like true self. And I took them one after the other. And I will be very open with you. I failed each one of them at least once, except for CA. CA I passed on the first time,
Okay.
but I failed every single exam at least once. except for CA.
Mm-hmm.
And that was devastating to me. I remember at one point in the process, and I can't remember, it probably took me a year and a half, possibly a little bit longer, maybe 2 years. I can't really remember. But I remember in the process thinking, I might just be happy working at Starbucks or something else. I might just be happy not becoming an architect. And thankfully, I put my boots back on and I went back into it and studied. But I remember once I took off a Friday and a Monday, 2 exams on the same weekend.
Wow.
So it was an excruciating process, I would say, for me. That was my experience. It's not for everybody. It's not an excruciating process for everybody. But for me, it was a life goal of mine as well to become a licensed architect.
Yeah, absolutely. I know. I just was curious too, because I know even once you're in work, you mentioned you're dealing with, stressful meetings, multi-million-dollar change orders, for example. There's the schedule, the stresses, the client's expectations. So I was kind of wanting to hear just a little backstory on your ARE exams, but the AREs, that's a whole nother thing. And I think it does in a way prepare you to be an architect, of course, but there are definitely things it does. There's a detriment to your health, I think, at the end of the day.
Absolutely. And I think all of that past and that history from school, and I don't know where you went to school, but where I went to school, there was a lack of health and wellness promotion within the school and the universities. And that's something that I definitely want to change, the approach of the studio culture and the lack of health and wellness within the studio culture. If you, at some schools that I went to, you were basically, it was an understanding that you would be in studio all night. And if you weren't, it's not a great perspective.
No, and it's interesting how that always translates from school to then the workplace. So kind of coming back to how was there a moment, did you have a moment where you're like, things have to change, or was it more of a gradual change?
I had felt it for many years that things had to change, but it wasn't until I became a mom in the architecture field that I knew there had to be a boundary that was created. If not, I could not give my 100% to my girls. And that really wasn't an option to me, to not be able to give my 100% to my girls. And so that was the defining boundary of when I became a mother, that I no longer could push myself to the point of exhaustion in my work.
And so what does that balance look like for you now? Or like, how do you achieve? I know balance is kind of a hard, so I feel like we're never in full balance, but how do you achieve that mindfulness now?
Yeah. So one of my favorite things to do is to set up let me also preface this by saying that I would say every month my balance changes, if not every week, and if not every day. I have to be mindful that something that worked last week might not work this week, or something that worked yesterday might not work today. But right now, in this current moment, in this present moment, what's working for me is a morning routine, which I call the miracle mindful morning routine. And for me, that's waking up. As soon as I wake up, I come downstairs. I do 25 to 30 minutes body movement, whatever that might be. Sometimes that's lifting weights. Sometimes that's doing yoga, whatever that is. And then I do a 10-minute meditation. And then from there, I read for 10 minutes. So that's all under an hour, which is good for my schedule. And that really sets me up for success the rest of the day. I would rather, and I wake up about 5:30 in the morning. Not everybody has to do that. Everybody's journey is different. And I'm not advocating that everybody wake up at 5:30 in the morning. But if you're a mom and you have to pack lunches and make breakfast and take your kids to school and get back and do your job, I have to wake up at 5:30 to get that all in. In my space that I've created, which is my own little oasis, I have beautiful plants that I love. I've got a candle that's my favorite candle. I've got my jug of water that's already chilled in the fridge and ready for me to go in the morning. So I really spend that, it's less than an hour, almost an hour in the morning, setting my day up for success. And I find that the days that I don't do that, my whole day is off balance. And I will wake up as early as I need to get that hour of pouring into myself and really centering myself and creating that balance in my life.
And do you work from home, or are you back in the office?
I'm partial. So I work full time, but I work at the office about 3 days a week and then at home 2 days a week. So that flexibility is extremely helpful, extremely, extremely helpful to help me kind of balance, what I'm putting in my body and meal prepping and having my walks every day, my 10-minute walks every day. So that's something else that I found I do, whether I'm working from home or in the office. I call them walk snacks. And so a lot of people think, well, I don't have time to move my body, or I don't have time to create meditation. And my message to them is that it doesn't have to be a full meal. So it doesn't have to be a 4-course meal, right? You don't sit down every time you eat to have a 4-course meal. You can have little snacks. You can graze sometimes, right? So that might mean I'm sitting here working on this project and I'm just getting email after email after email coming in, and my Teams is dinging and my phone is ringing and all of these things are coming into my brain, and I need to mentally clear it for a minute, right? I need to come back to the present, and I need to go outside and take a 5-minute walk. And those 5-minute walks throughout the day, being mindful, getting yourself in nature, really change the way you start to perceive your world and your interactions with other individuals. It really clears your mind so you can come back and say, okay, that 5-minute walk was great. I am a clean palate now. And now I can prioritize those 10 to 15 emails that were coming at me. So that's a great way of incorporating mindfulness into your life. That's easy because as a mom, I don't have an hour to give unless it's in the morning and I wake up at 5:30. But throughout my day, I don't even have 30 minutes to really give most of the time. But I can carve out 5-minute chunks of walk snacks or meditation snacks.
I like that. I like because even 5 minutes, and I just recently, it was the other week where I just was kind of feeling like stuck, and I just like feel like you're sitting at your desk and you're just grinding away. And I was like, and I now officially work from home. I work for myself, and I'm like, well, why don't I just go for a walk? And I just felt so refreshed. I did a lap around my apartment complex, felt amazing. And I was like, it was almost like having a cup of coffee. There was just like this restart. It was this natural restart, and it's incredible just stepping away. And I like that you brought up, which is something I am now figuring out how to manage, is when you are trying to work on something and you've got the emails coming in and you've got phone calls, and I don't want to turn my phone on airplane mode like throughout the whole day because obviously people need to get hold of me, but there is something about finding like the compartmentalizing. Now I'm going to work on this drawing and then I'm going to answer emails. Do you batch your schedule? Like I like to do emails at a certain time, drawings a certain time of the day if I can. It's in a perfect world, I would of course be doing drawings all morning and then answering emails and doing meetings in the afternoon. Obviously, that doesn't happen, in a perfect world. I wish it would. But how do you organize then your schedule?
You're making me question how I organize myself. That's a great question. Like you said, in a perfect world, yes, I would batch. And I've been thinking about batching for a long time. Like, okay, how do I get these things done? But to be honest and to be very realistic, as an architect and as a mom, I have a lot coming at me at different angles at any given time of day. So health and wellness wise, what I do, I don't necessarily batch, but I schedule. I schedule it in, right? So 5:30 in the morning, I'm going to get my hour in. At noon, which is 12:18. Now I kind of check in with myself. That's just like an internal meeting with myself. And I ask myself a few questions. And these, maybe the first week or a couple weeks of doing this, you have to think about it. But now I don't even think about it. I look at the clock, it's 12, so I check it with myself. Have I drank enough water? Usually my goal is about 50 ounces by noon. And have I moved my body? And how am I mentally right now? Am I exhausted? Am I fatigued? Am I going to be able to make it till 5 p.m., 6 p.m., 7 p.m.? If the answer is no, then I need to readjust the rest of my working day and really fill into myself a little bit, fill into my cup. And if the answer is yes, then I'm doing great. Keep going. So I don't batch. I prioritize and I schedule. And when I schedule a meeting with myself, I take it very seriously, and I just as seriously as I would with a meeting with my boss. And I don't miss it. So 12 o'clock on the dot, maybe sometimes it's 12:01 or 12:02, that I'm checking in with myself and I'm not missing that meeting because I know how important it is. And like you said, it gives you energy. It's like a cup of coffee. When you get up and go walk or drink your water, or you're just more mindful in general and pouring into yourself and not just on that never ending hamster wheel, you're actually going to be more productive and have more energy and be more fulfilled and love your life more and be happier. And I can preach that all day.
No, absolutely. And I think there's a difference too, is I just was thinking, I'm like, sometimes when I feel like I need a break, I'll just be like, well, maybe I'll just do a 5-minute social media break, right? I'm not thinking about work, but I'm scrolling, but I'm not moving my body. And that's when I notice the difference in my production as well, is no, I shouldn't be taking a 5-minute, Instagram scrolling break. It should be a walk or getting up, or, on laundry day for me is Thursdays now. And so that kind of gets me out, as well as like, got to change the load, got to fold some clothes, hang some clothes to dry. So that kind of also is like nice little breaks in between. So I do kind of find that as a mental break, but it's making sure. Yeah.
Let me ask, when you're doing your laundry, what do you do? What are you thinking about when you're doing your laundry on Thursdays?
Just anything. I love organizing laundry. Like, I have little colored piles before the clothes go in. Like, my husband's like, I don't know where I got this from. I think I might have gotten it from my dad, actually. But it just completely relaxes me. So in the morning, right before, like, so I wake up on Thursday morning now. And then before I even go say hi to my husband in the morning, because he wakes up before me, I start organizing my piles. And then I'll kind of look at which pile, and then I'll take it down to the laundry. I'll get it, put the softener in, detergent, let that run. And there's just this sense of like accomplishment and like cleansing, like I'm cleansing my clothes from the week. And like, there's just this, I don't know what it is. It's just very meditative for me. Then I'll bring it upstairs and then I'll fold it. Some things, need to be hang dry. I'll put it away. And there's just this like sense of accomplishment after the clothes is nicely put away. It smells good. It's like ready to go. It's like a ritual.
So it seems like you're being very mindful when you're doing
Yes.
your laundry.
Yes.
And it's therapeutic and something that pours into your cup.
Yes.
Yes, that's great.
Yes.
That's great.
Yeah.
Because I got to the point where at one point in my life, when everything was a hamster wheel,
Mm-hmm.
I would unload the dishwasher and I was going through the to-do list in my head, right? Of, okay, I got to check that email and I have to, did I pack the kids' lunch? Did I do this? Oh yeah, tomorrow it's their pizza day. I don't have to pack lunch tomorrow. Every person has 60 to 80,000 thoughts a day.
Wow.
And so think of, on top of that, a mom and an architect. So I would say that number is higher for a mom and who is also an architect. My point is, I was getting to the point where I was breaking dishes because I was trying to put them away so quickly and not being mindful. So now it seems like you're already doing this, but now I am very mindful when I'm even unloading the dishwasher or doing a chore and actually enjoying it, not going through that never ending list of to-dos anymore.
Interesting.
And actually enjoying the moment that you're in, which seems like you're doing that as well.
No, with the laundry, yes. It's funny you bring up the dishwasher, because that I had to build my relationship with my dishwasher. I found it as like the most frustrating task every morning to empty the dishwasher. And I think I timed myself one time, and it takes me, our kitchen's very small, it takes me maximum like 4, maybe 5 minutes tops to unload the dishwasher. And so sometimes I'll look at it and I'll be like, okay, you have 3 to 5 minutes right now. Just, this is the one thing that you have to do in the present moment. Don't do anything else. And once you do this, you don't have to do it till tomorrow. And that's how I've dealt with the dishwasher, because I used to just like, I have broken a few dishes as well. Because, yeah, you're just like thinking about something else, and then whoops, totally forgot about the clearance of the counter, and then there goes a bowl. So for me, the dishwasher, I'm working on the relationship of, we're going to be together for 5 minutes, and then I don't need to think about you for the rest of the day.
Yeah, I completely understand. Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's I like that you're bringing up like our day-to-day tasks as well around the house, and bringing mindfulness into those as well, because those can be moments of frustration, or like you said, you're just thinking of to-do lists, and we start doing it mindlessly, not mindfully, and then that kind of just adds a little like emotional baggage, I think.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And it got to the point for a while, those things, I didn't find joy in those things. Obviously, every person here or that's listening has to do chores, quote unquote, chores at home, right? You have to make your bed and wash your sheets and unload the dishwasher and do the laundry. And sometimes, if you're a parent, you have to do that for multiple individuals or pack lunches. And those things weren't bringing me joy. And I was obviously, that's called living. I was doing them every single day, right? Things that didn't bring me joy. They were more of a chore to me, things that I had to get done in order to go to work, and didn't go to work and be drained as well at that point in my career. So when I started finding mindfulness within these everyday tasks, they no longer were identified as chores to me. I was actually appreciating them, and which opened a whole new world for me to actually appreciate, having laundry to do, right? So can we do a little activity?
Yes. I was just going to ask about that. Yes.
Okay, good. This conversation brings up. So I asked you to bring 2 fruits, right? So what did you?
Got 2 blueberries and 2 strawberries.
Okay, let's do strawberry. So just take a bite of your strawberry like you would in any other day. You walk into your kitchen, you pick a strawberry up, and you're thinking about a million things. Sometimes when I eat lunch at my desk, I'm looking at the email, I'm drawing insulation into my foundation, I'm checking my RFPs and my ASIs and all of those things. Okay. Now I want you to, and I actually brought a grape as well. I want you to look at your strawberry. It sounds really woo-woo, but look at it. Where do you think it came from? How many people do you think touched or had to be a part of the process to get the strawberry to where you're at today?
Quite a few.
Quite a few, right? So look at it. What visually do you see in your strawberry?
So like reddish, it's got the little seeds, some green, it's a little white. It's not as red, but it's a little bigger. It's organic, so it's like a normal size. Something to notice.
And what does it feel like?
Feels very cold. It was in the refrigerator.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I would love a cold strawberry. So smell it. Okay, now I want you to close your eyes, take a bite of the strawberry, and chew it very slowly. And I'm going to do the same with the grape.
Okay.
So tell me, you can open your eyes if you'd like. Tell me your experience the second time around when you took a bite of the strawberry.
It was, even though I think the first one was a little sweeter, this one, the taste lasted longer. And it just like, there's this scene from Ratatouille. I don't know if you know the movie where he eats a strawberry and he pairs it with a piece of cheddar cheese and there's like fireworks. That's kind of like what I was having right now. Like I was having like Remy's little moment where he's taking the strawberry and the cheese and I didn't even have the cheese, but like it was just like you could really feel the flavors.
Exactly. So mindfulness, which is what you were just experiencing, allows you to taste your food on a different level. So I take it back. I mean, I'm a mom, like I said multiple times. I take this experience of mindfulness back to the closest I can get to it is remember yourself as a child. So remember seeing a grape for the first time. And I get to experience this because I have a 3-year-old and 1-year-old that are like, wow. So this is a great example. My 3-year-old, she's a pandemic baby. I took her into a gas station for the first time last week. It was probably a month ago, actually. And she walked in and she goes, wow, Mama, it's so beautiful in here. In a gas station. And I thought, oh, she's never been in a gas station before. Right. But that new perspective, right? So yeah, you can eat a grape or you can eat strawberries all day. But if you don't slow down to actually think about where they're coming from and smell it and use your senses, then you're not enjoying it to its full capacity. And that's life too. So, bringing this back to the architecture side, another little activity I want to do with you, Katerina, is what I call the box breath. So, and I do this sometimes when I first started incorporating this into my routine was this is before the pandemic, I would walk into my office. So think of a box like a door, right? So 4 sides. So we're going to do everything in increments of 4. So I would do this as soon as I got to my office, opened the door, I would think, oh, I'm in the door. Let's do the box breath. So every single day I would do it. And it did not stop my routine of getting to the desk and starting. It just allowed me to bring more clarity to the beginning of my work. So would you like to do it with me?
Absolutely.
Okay, so box breath, 4 sides. We're going to do everything in increments of 4. So I'll show you first, and then you can join me for 2 or 3 rounds. So you're going to inhale for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And hold for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So do it one more time, and I'll count you. So inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. And hold. 1, 2, 3, 4. So what do you think about that?
Very relaxing. Very, like completely like my muscles, especially my shoulders, kind of released. I feel very calm.
So you can incorporate those if you're an architect or whoever you are, whatever journey you're on or whatever career path you're in, you can incorporate a simple box breath when you walk into the office or maybe before a meeting, you incorporate that. Nobody has to know you're doing it.
Right.
But what it does is it calms, slowing down your breath, slows down your heart rate, which slows down the adrenaline, and it ultimately gives you more clarity and allows you to make more clear decisions.
And I like that you don't have to, you can just use your breath. Like I like finding ways to calm and like do things mindfully without having to purchase something or buy something. And you're like, I have to, or, oh, I forgot my whatever. Now I can't do this exercise. You can literally do it anywhere, anytime.
Yeah, absolutely. For the rest of your life, you can incorporate the box breath.
So do you do it in 2 rounds or can you do multiple rounds?
You can do as many as you like. I typically do 4 because the box has 4 sides. And on top of that, I'm getting a call. And so this is great about being mindful is the point of mindfulness is I see I'm getting a call. I'm accepting that I'm getting a call in the middle of a podcast, not letting that bother me and letting it continue. But I do it in rounds of 4. That's just my preference because the box has 4 sides and I'm holding it for 4. Yeah, but you can do it as many times as you like until you kind of feel your nervous system calm a bit.
I want to talk about what just happened with the phone ringing and like you really brought your attention to the podcast. That's something sometimes I notice, like I'll get that text message or I'll see that first line of that email and it's just like my mind cannot think about anything but responding to that message. So did you do anything to recenter your focus? Because you like were just very present with me the whole time.
It makes me very happy that you say that. You know, it takes practice, I would say. It takes a lot of practice. And for me, it takes daily practice. So like I said, in the mornings, I meditate. And like I said earlier, we have 60 to 80,000 thoughts. I have a lot of thoughts going on at any given time. I'm also diagnosed ADHD. And so I'm jumping around a lot. I have a lot of thoughts. So every morning when I'm meditating, I practice. So I might hear my baby crying and know it's 5:45, so it's still her bedtime. So I can't go get her up. If I hear her crying and I practice, I accept that sound. Her bedroom is right above my office. That's why I'm pointing up. I accept her crying. I do not judge. I do not allow my thoughts to get in the way. And then I gently bring my attention and my awareness back to my meditation. Or a car might drive by in the middle of a meditation. Or my husband's coffee pot goes off. Or my phone starts dinging already at 5:30 a.m. And so those things or my thoughts just reoccur, even if it's silence. Those things are never going to stop. That's life, right? I mean, you can silence your phone, yes, but there are other sounds, noises, interferences that are going to happen because that's life. And a part of mindfulness and meditation is understanding that your thoughts are going to go off and you're going to hear sounds, accepting it, not judging it. So it's not a bad or a good sound that my baby's crying, letting it be, and then coming back to your center and the present moment. So it just takes daily practice for me, at least. And the more you do it, the stronger you're going to get at it.
No, absolutely. It's just like a muscle. It seems like just
Mm-hmm.
keep strengthening it, keep focusing. You're really making me rethink my mornings because I'm trying to figure out again, like, so now that I work from home, I'm still trying to figure out like what's kind of working for me. And I get up at 4:45. My husband gets up at like 3:45, 4 a.m. So we're early. But we go to bed at like 7:38. Okay. So we don't make it that late.
Yeah.
But it's finding that balance, like, we're still kind of figuring out, like, we both need our space in the mornings, but for me, I notice, like, I'll go straight to the computer and I'll start working on CAD. Like, my brain can switch on that quickly because I like the idea of having at least an hour of work done, and then my husband gets ready, he leaves the house, and then my morning can start and my breakfast, and, like, I can kinda start my thing. But I think I need to figure out incorporating more meditation, more I like the idea of reading too in the mornings and just kind of centering yourself. So that's something I definitely need to kind of prioritize again.
Yeah, and everybody's different. And as we age, because I feel like, well, I am aging, but as we age, you change, right?
Mhm.
So, like I said, what works for me won't work for you or may not work for you. And give yourself some grace and know that what works today won't necessarily work tomorrow, and be able to have fluidity to find your rhythm of what's working for you and what's not working for you and what brings you joy and what doesn't bring you joy.
No, absolutely.
And so for you, that might mean that if you try to get up and the first thing that you do is work out or read, that might not bring you joy today.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe you need to try to incorporate reading at 9 a.m. to get you through that day or that fatigue.
No, absolutely. You're definitely having me think about how often I need to go for walks now, because like today I have I like to batch. So today's my podcasting day. So in between all the interviews, I'm going to take a walk. It's a gorgeous, beautiful day. Why not? We're supposed to get rain, later this week. So I'm going to like take advantage of the weather. So you're really inspiring me today.
Oh, that's amazing. And sometimes I listen to podcasts, and I have listened to your podcast on a walk, but it's also really nice sometimes to just be mindful when you're walking. So listening to the birds and just stopping, because sometimes when I walk, I'm power walking, trying to get this walk done so I can get back to my computer and answer that email, right? So sometimes it's nice just to slow yourself down on those walks and actually take in your environment and look around you and see how beautiful your neighborhood really is. And sometimes I don't do that, but it's nice to do it as well.
No, absolutely. Well, Morgan, this has been so great, so inspiring. I loved the strawberry, exercise that we did. I think I definitely, like, even today at lunch and tonight at dinner, I'm going to make my husband enjoy the food that I cook and like really take it in. And I love your message of being mindful. And I just, this was a really good, inspiring episode for me to even interview and talk with you.
Well, Katerina, I would love to do it again anytime. Thank you so much for creating this platform for individuals to come in and speak about what they're passionate about. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. And where can listeners find you and connect with you?
Yes, so I am on Instagram. My Instagram handle is, I have to look it up, is Be Mindful with Morgan. And as I'm continually growing and developing and following my gut and my passion, I will have a website hopefully in the first quarter of 2024. Yay. So that is more to come.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Morgan.
Yeah, thank you, Katerina. Have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you. Thank you for listening to this episode of From the Honeycomb podcast. As we conclude, I want to express my gratitude for joining me in today's episode. I hope you have found it insightful and inspiring. If you enjoyed today's episode, please take a moment to rate, review, and click that like button so you never miss an episode. And don't forget to share this with your friends. You can follow me on Instagram at From the Honeycomb Podcast, and you can also further your support of From the Honeycomb by visiting the Patreon link provided in the show notes. Your contribution helps make more episodes possible. And lastly, don't forget to subscribe to my monthly newsletter, A Spark of Positive Energy, that comes out on the 7th of each month. Thank you so much, and see you next Friday.